So let's start first with any questions that was carried over from the previous part one. I'm assuming everybody had a chance to review that or were here. So let's take a minute or two and address any questions you might have had regarding part one. Looking at managing and coping with anger and conventional personal relationships. Okay. No questions about it? All right, if you have no questions about it, then we'll get ready to go into part two. So let me kind of preface some of this today before we get into it. If you are able to survive the pitfall of conventional relationship, which fundamentally means that you develop the ability to get along with the one you're in relationship with, where conflict has been disappeared or minimized, you've achieved some degree of civility, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then you become a candidate for entering into the spiritual process of marriage. Ordinarily, we conceive of marriage in a very legalistic way. In fact, one of the things I think we'll do, since we have the small group here, is to really address this in a little bit more depth. So it starts with your ideology, your marital ideology, which is just another fancy way of saying, what is your concept of marriage? Let's have some dialogue. And if you got a maid in the room, pay particularly close attention because you may find out you're not even on the same page, and that would account for the lack of fulfillment in the relationship. So let's look at that a little bit. So what is your marital ideology? What is your concept of marriage? What does marriage mean? What is that all about? Helpmate? Okay. So you could be operating out of that kind of ideology that marriage is about helpmate. And I suppose that means help you do things, get things, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, we won't exhaust it. I just want to see where your head's at first. See how much work I got to do. I have to take off my jacket, my shoes, God knows.
Somewhere you could be yourself.
Marital ideology is that you enter into a relationship so you can be yourself. It's interesting. All right. How do we sum that up? We can say to be yourself or selfish or free, which is really interesting. I mean, you get married, you make a commitment to be free. Or is it giving up your freedom? Yeah. What are some of your other concepts? You engaged, right? You better get this right, man. What is your marital ideology?
Kind of a growing together, kind of in...
Okay, to grow together.
Lifelong.
Grow together, I understand that. You see, your marital ideology is going to drive the type of marriage you were going to create, much like your gender ideology will dictate what kind of man or woman you will be. Every woman has an idea of what it means to be a woman. That's your ideology based on your gender, female. So you put on lipstick, you look pretty, and blah, blah, blah. Men have a male gender ideology, what it means to be a man. We talk in baritone voices and vibrato, et cetera, et cetera. Well, that's not the only kind of ideology that we operate out of. We actually have all kinds of ideologies, and the first thing you got to know about the other person is, what's your ideology? See? It's not enough to say, will you marry me?
It changes over time, right? And
Yeah, it can evolve over time, but you gotta have a start out point. Because if you starting out going in different directions, it's not gonna work. True? And over time, you'll just drift further and further and further apart, so much so that you're not even technically married. See? I mean, what does the word marry itself mean?
Come together.
To come together? Anybody else?
Well, I was thinking about my idea of marriage. I always thought that the husband is supposed to be there for me when I need him, listen to me, help me raise the kids, go to the grocery store, we do things together, take me out, those types of things. I don't know if that's a limited concept, but
Well,
that's...
no, it's whatever your concept is. It is what it is. It's like your finger, you see? So roles and duties and so forth and so on. Yeah. But what does marriage itself mean? You see? What is marriage? What does that mean? To get married. What does that mean? I can't believe this. What does it mean to be married?
I don't know particularly what that means, but when I got married, I was looking for partnership and relationship.
So definitely a relationship, okay.
Commitment.
Yeah, it requires commitment. When you get married, what happens in them? What does that imply? Or what's the visual? Two-thing marriage. Like if I marry these two waters,
They become one.
they become one.
Yes.
That's what the ring is about, right?
Right.
That's the fundamental definition of marriage itself, isn't it? It's like a yoga, right? A oneness. True? So you want to examine your ideology and see to what degree your ideology itself taking you in the direction of oneness. You see? If you get married to be yourself, is that oneness? Or is that just being separate? Together but separate. So these are some things to consider. Now, most of what has been volunteered thus far pretty much describe one type of marriage, and that's the conventional marriage, legal marriage. It's a legal relationship, full of rights, duties, responsibilities between the two people getting married, their families, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Conventional, it's an institution. In fact, in sociology, we talk about the marriage as an institution, right? That is what most of us bought into when we went to City Hall and got our licenses. And keep in mind, that's the easiest license on the planet to get. You don't have to know shit, do shit, pass no test. Just what, a blood test, I think, right? They still, not even a blood test no more? Oh my God. And pay the fee, right? That's it. It's a civil matter, a legal matter, you see? And then there's another kind of marriage. And that's what we're going to talk about today. In ancient times, in ancient Greeks, in fact, they came up with a term for it. Heterogamous. Sacred marriage. It's a whole different animal. Whole different animal. A sacred marriage is a marriage that is entered into with a very specific purpose, you see. And yes, it is a kind of helpmate concept in it, but it's not so much about getting a house and a home. It's to help you do something far more profound than that. Are you with me? Now, I won't go into that in detail right now. We're going to work our way into that. And it's all right if you got questions, comments, arguments, disagreement, that's fine, okay? Because there is no expert on this stuff here. You see, you sort of learn as you grow. But I will tell you this, that heterostamos takes everything of the man and woman. It's not being bad. So, let's see if we can find some inspiration to rise beyond the mere conventional level of relationship. You see, there's a hierarchy of relationship, a hierarchy of marriages, you see, and the higher on that scale that our relationship falls, the more fulfilling that relationship. You see, it's not by any accident that 85% of all attempts at marriage, I'm talking about even at conventional marriage, fails within the first 2 years. Fall apart. It's devastating. Devastating. Now that's just conventional marriage. You see, you can therefore imagine what the odds are making it to the sacred level of marriage. You see, very few human beings who are entering into the path of marriage makes it there. You see, and when I say fall apart, they may stay together for another 40 years, but they are really separate. Marriage has not happened in that relationship.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And until marriage happens, the relationship cannot be fulfilling, by definition. By definition. You see? You won't be happy. Now, it's very hard to do your duties when you're not happy. True? True?
Yeah.
I think I offered this kind of argument many, many years ago, maybe 20 years ago, long time ago, when you all were just getting married and something, right?
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
So it's been 20 years since I visited this argument. I hope it's not too late. All right? All right, good, good. So, first thing you have to decide is what kind of relationship you're in now. If you're in any relationship at all. You see? One of the biggest obstacles to transcending the conventional, ordinary, pedestrian, superficial level of relationships with others, particularly the other that you call husband or wife, is fear. Fear. And fear of what? Fear of love. That can also be translated as fear of marriage, because there's a fear of commitment, right? There's a fear of love, right? True?
Yeah.
And those fears fundamentally can be classified in two fundamental categories. The first one is rejection, unrequited love, right? As young men, you know, we suffer from that. It's just a male thing. You know what I mean? So at the little middle school party, I want to dance with you, but I'm afraid to cross the floor because you may say no, and then all the little boys gonna tease me and mock me. You see, a fear of rejection. You see, it's one of the fears that'll keep you single forever, single and miserable. You see. The other fear is loss of freedom. Loss of freedom. Last workshop, we talked about the paradoxia of relationship, right? Where there's that natural human impulse for intimacy, for love, for affection. That's a need. And so on the one hand, we want that. But what our experience is that when we go to the person, is person A trying to fulfill that need to belong, to be connected, what in that literary and psychology we call the fundamental, hierarchy of needs. It's not exactly like Maslow, but close to it. The need for love, the need for affection, the need to belong, the need to connect, the need for the feeling of security. You see, that's a fundamental human need. You know, you need to feel safe, secure. So we bond. That's a unique human quality. We bond for the sake of safety, security, affection, connection, so forth and so on. So that's wired in, like your need for water, food is wired. You don't get to have a say in the matter. You're simply wired to seek that in another human being. Keep in mind there are certain needs we have that can only be filled by another human being. Make a note. Make a note. This whole Western concept, modern concept, that you don't need nobody and you can do your own thing, that's pure bullshit. That's a pure myth. It has no basis in reality whatsoever. You see? These needs have to be met, otherwise you will become what we call in the culture of psychiatry maladaptive. Your behavior will become maladaptive behavior, you see? And maladaptive behavior is basically a behavior that is emerging out of a certain kind of malnutrition of mind, which fundamentally means that you lose the capacity to work and to love. And basically, in psychiatry and psychology, that's how we define a person that is maladaptive, maladjusted, has a mental problem. They can't love. Fear of rejection and loss of freedom keeps them from doing what we all have been built to do. We are love machines, built for it, uniquely built for it. Not sex. Love. Don't get it twisted. And sex is never a substitute for love. At all. Except in a person stuck in fear. You see? Y'all all right? So, if you don't want to go insane, then you have to give up thy fear and fall in love. No fooling, no kidding. And yes, it takes a lot of courage because there's every possibility that you will get rejected. True. There will be a loss of freedom. True. But if you are a spiritual practitioner of marriage, then these two are handled. You don't sacrifice freedom just to have your love. Are you with me? But if you don't have a certain kind of understanding, and if you're operating out of a very different kind of ideology about marriage, if your marital ideology is in itself not valid, then you're going to have some struggle. A lot of the mental illnesses that we see are directly the fallout from failed relationships with someone you felt like you loved. So you're playing with your mental health here. Y'all all right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get very, very, how do I put it? I won't say mean, but I'm gonna get into you a little bit here, right? All right. So now that we know that fear is the biggest obstacle to real relationships, and I'm talking about real relationship, you see, as opposed to a merely legal relationship, a conventional relationship, so forth. Talking about eros gamos, sacred marriage, sacred relationship. So, how many couples are here? I want to have some fun. Okay, good. I know this is a couple. Y'all ain't a couple, but that's close enough. There's a couple, you a couple, right? Where your other part?
At basketball with the kids.
See, I told you. And some of you are expatriates of a relationship. True? Good. So you want to first things first, which is to identify where you at already. See, if you're going to make a journey, you need to know where you are at and relative to where you want to be at in your relationship. So you're going to have to do some uncovering, and you're going to have to, above all, be honest. You see, as I said before, this sadhana, for those who are not familiar, sadhana is a Hindi word, Sanskrit word. It simply means a spiritual process, a kind of praxis, because there's a practice involved, spiritual practice. Marriage is a spiritual practice. You see, it's not just a social phenomenon. It's not just a civil phenomenon. At least that was never its full intention. And for those of us familiar with Kemetic mysticism and spirituality, you understand the story of Isis and Osiris, right? The Osirian metamorphosis, right? And where Osiris had been deceived by his evil brother, blah, 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 which is the evil in himself, his own ignorance, and have been cut into pieces, thrown into a river, et cetera, et cetera. And you all know the story, but the point I'm making is that Isis had to find something that was crucial to restore Osiris. Do anybody remember the story? What did she find? His penis. Right? His power. Right? What she did, she made him potent. So the task in the practice of sacred marriage does fall into different genders. There is a task of the wife and there's a task of the husband. When we say helpmate, these tasks, right? And it's to restore the man's potency. And the male function is to release the female divinity. We're going to get into that a little later. But this is all mysterious to you. At least some of you, right? And so that's why you become amateurs at relationships. You try your best, but the shit don't work. And it never dawned on you that it ain't working because you don't know what you're doing. You see, your ego gets in the way, your vanity, you see? But if you fail it and you're unhappy and you're unfulfilled, clearly you don't know what you're doing. You see? Now, so find out where you at. So let's start with the beginning. And we'll start with, in this hierarchy, of relationships. And here I'm talking about marriage. But it can apply to many other relationships. And if we have time today, we'll look at the other relationship that the same principle applies to. The lowest level is the biological. The biological level of relationship. The biological relationship, the motive that brings the two people together in the biological level of relationship is the satiation of their sensual desires, principally sex, food. That's about it. That's about it. Sex and food. You see? Very animalistic. You see? Not much different. Come together to help each other get something to eat, and it's food. That's about it. You see? Now, I'm not condemning that. I'm simply saying that's the most primitive level of a kind of relationship. It's the least satisfying because once you have eaten the food, then you return to baseline of being just miserable. Once you've had the sex, even if you know how to have the sex, you see my point? The orgasm is gone, you see? And a few minutes later, you're back to baseline misery, you see? Until you get something to eat and have sex again. That's how it goes, you know what I mean? Basically. You see? That was the motive. Because that was consistent with your ideology. Remember we talked about ideology? And I asked you what was your marital ideology? And some of you were scratching your head, you couldn't quite decipher. Well, this will help you. See, if all you're doing is this, then that's your ideology. That is your marital ideology. That is your ideal of marriage. We get something to eat and we have some sex as frequent and as often as we can, blah, blah, blah. That is your ideology because that's what you're doing. What you're doing is a reflection of your ideology. Are you with me? Are you with me?
Yes.
See, there's no contradiction there, you see? Whatever you are doing, that is a reflection of your highest concept and ideal of what a real relationship is really about. And we know that this pretty much describes everything that's going on in dating, right? Dating, we just get together, have dinner, and then have sex, and then go your separate ways. Pretty much, right? That's why dating, you know, is not really a marriage. Dating and marriage are entirely two different phenomena. Are you with me? Right?
Yeah.
We all done been here. And I'm not knocking this. This is nature. This is necessary. Are you with me? The species has to be reproduced. This is what nature is up to. You see my point? From the point of view of nature, nature really don't give a damn whether you love the person or not. Just make another human being. Are you with me? So we're wired with sexual energy, attraction. You see? It's a force. Bring people together to reproduce the species. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, don't misunderstand me, but do understand that if you're only operating at this level in your relationship with your significant other, this is where you at. And there won't be any happiness here, you see. It's mostly just sense-based, sense. Now we can expand upon it, and there's so much more to say about all that. Today I'm just giving you a kind of a map. So, there is the biological level of relationship. That's the lowest point in the hierarchy. Y'all want any discussion about this here? Because try to understand this thing. You know, it'll probably be another 20 years before I address this, and by that time I'll be so old and feeble, I'll be demented, and you won't be able to get a coherent argument out of me at all. So, speak now. Oh, forever hold your peace and good luck to you, right? But we want to take advantage of this opportunity. I don't want to just come here and lecture you. I want to dialogue with you about this. You see? Because sometimes we have doubts, you understand? And those doubts have to be dealt with. And it's all right to have doubts. You follow what I'm saying? Yes, beloved?
Can sex be used to get to higher levels?
Sex really do not necessarily have to disappear at any level. That'll become a little clear. You see? What is important though is where the sex is coming from. That is what changes. At the biological level of the relationship, your sex is just coming from a buildup of energy. Because you eating this food. Food gives you energy, right? That's what food does. It provides energy in the body, right? Now that energy builds up, right? Y'all, what you call horny. That's energy. It's reached a level, right? Now you got to get some relief from that tension, right? So sex, it's like sneezing. You follow me? It's a way of releasing a buildup of energy. Right? Plus, there's many other motives underneath it driving sex too. We already mentioned one, the reproduction of the species, et cetera, et cetera. It's a creative force and so forth and so on. And we can go into that in a little bit more detail. But to answer your question, sex does not necessarily disappear.
People talk about Tantra and how that can be used to increase your consciousness and all that.
Well, Tantra, and we're going to talk a little bit about Tantra, but we'll talk about that as we move higher up the hierarchy. But in Tantra, see, Tantra is not even possible until you have reached the higher level of the relationship. You see. Then what they teach in Tantra is possible. Because Tantra is a spiritual tradition, it's a spiritual practice. There's a lot of stuff got to be in place before you can succeed in Tantra. You know, it's just not copulating. It's not just intercourse. There's a real preparation for that, you see. And without that, you're just having sex. You know what I mean? And deluding yourself that you're doing something like Tantra. You see. All right, very good question. Come back to that later, Simon. Don't let me forget, because it seems like we got people that it's either high energy or low energy, right? So we got to work that out. And you'll notice at the biological level, that's what you're fighting most about, sex. Or something you didn't cook me nothing, or you didn't cook it the way I like it. You know what I mean? Right? You got a lot of arguments around that. Oh boy, so much to say. Actually, I could spend a whole workshop just on this level, you see, because there's just so much I'm leaving out. But I know that most of you in this room are sophisticated, you're intelligent people, and I'm just pointing in a direction, and you can go run later, get the rest of this on your own. Next level. Emotion. The motive for moving in the relationship is not just limited to the biological drive, but there's emotional too. You need that companionship. You need an antidote to your loneliness. You see, there's a kind of emotional connection and satisfaction. You see, it's an emotional thing. When we say emotional, I mean so many things. Remember we talked about some of these needs, the need for affection, the need to belong, you see, the need for safety, security, so forth and so on. These are emotionally fulfilling. It may not, sex and food is not your primary motivation. It's a part of the next level of relationship, but it's not the all and be all of the relationship. You see my point? It also, you see, is a need to have some kind of emotional stability, some emotional calm, some emotional fulfillment, a refuge, if you will, a refuge from loneliness, lack of companionship, somebody to go to damn movies with. You know what I mean? You're tired of going. You got money, you go to movies, but shit, you know, it ain't nobody to share with. Ain't nobody. You can't enjoy. You need somebody to enjoy life with. Are you with me?
Yeah.
True?
Yeah.
You got enough money to go to Maui, but shit, you don't want to be laying up on the beach all by yourself. You know what I mean? You want somebody with you. You want company. You want a connection. You want a partner. It's an emotional thing. It's a little higher, you see? A little bit more rich. There's sex and there's food and all of that. You follow me? And there's this. So at that level and stage in the hierarchy of relationships, it's a little bit more fulfilling, a little bit more satisfaction. Yeah, you can watch the TV show, but it's better when you watch it with somebody. Are you with me? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Huh? And as you can already begin to see that as we unfold and move up into higher and higher levels of relationship, more and more fundamental needs are being fulfilled. Anybody want to offer me some more examples of what is meant by this level of where you are able to get some of your emotional needs. What are some of your emotional needs besides these? Or what is your greatest emotional need? This is interesting. What is your greatest emotional need? Because you turn to the other and search for the fulfillment of your emotional need. Okay, what is your emotional need? Because the other person has to be instructed. It's like sex. Are you with me? You have to tell the other what feels good. They can't read your damn mind. Are you with me? See, that has to be communicated, right? So, in the same way, the same process is going on. Are you with me? But what is your greatest emotional need? It's not a rhetorical question.
To be heard.
All right, to be heard. Yeah. See? And what is some of the other emotional needs?
To feel love.
Yeah, but affection, we covered that.
Something unconditional. Affection is one thing, but
Mm-hmm.
love is something else.
To be loved, okay. All right. Yes?
To be a sense of belonging, to have that identity. Like, for example, when I first came to the House of Ra,
Uh-huh.
my very first time, that was what attracted me because I saw all Black people together.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something that I longed for a long time, that sense of community.
Community, yeah.
Yeah.
Belonging, connection,
Belonging.
it's emotional. Yeah, yeah. So you gotta know yourself. It's a prerequisite if you will ever arrive at heteros dramas, at the sacred level. You gotta know yourself.
Emmy.
You gotta know yourself so that you can communicate that, right?
I said attention.
Attention, yeah, attention, affection, that's a big one, you see. It's a key thing to understand. You need other people's attention. Because it is via their attention that you have the experience of being loved, right? So forth and so on. Attention. And that's one of the biggest complaints when a person is suffering at a deficit at the emotional level of the relationship. They're going to be complaining. You don't give me no damn attention. True?
Yeah.
True. And men are notorious for not doing what? Right. And that becomes the basis of a lot of conflict, right? Yes, beloved.
Does that tie in with validating the person?
Yeah, all of those things can only happen via attention because we connect to each other with our attention. That's how we touch each other, much more deeply than with our hands, with a hug, our attention. You see? Mhm. And you need attention. True?
True.
Otherwise, you can have the experience of worth and value. You don't feel validated. You don't feel loved. You don't feel understood. You don't feel nothing. You got to have attention. Fundamental need. So the person can be a good provider of food and so forth and so on, right? Good in the bed, right? But that ain't in and of itself sufficient attention. Because you don't pay no attention out of the bed. That's a fundamental female complaint, right? You only interest in me when you want some. Right. That's how men are. See, there's a gender thing going on here. You see, there's a gender thing going on. So this experience, this need for attention is felt differently or fulfilled differently on the basis of your gender. Both needs attention. No doubt about it, because we're all human beings. It's a human need. It's not just a man need, a woman need. It is a human need. Hell, even animals need a certain amount of attention. You see? But the way that a male processes, his need for attention being met is different from the way a female processes. Her attention needs have been met. Come on, geniuses, let's guess. What's the difference?
With the male, it's more physical, and with the female, it's more mental.
Yes and no. I mean, we're gonna leave that up there. Yeah, yeah. Let me see if I can help make this a little clear. I was just asking a moment ago, what are your emotional needs? Now, these emotional needs, then, they're emotional. You know what I mean? They're emotional. They're not biological. You see? They're emotional needs. You see? Sex is a biological need. You know what I mean? Energy. You need energy, right? Right? But you don't. Ain't no love is necessarily involved in that. You're just trying to feel better in the body, get some of that energy down. Are you with me? But what about on your emotional level? Fundamental need in a relationship. We know it's attention and all of that, but attention is delivering a certain kind of experience. Go ahead.
To some degree, understanding.
Yeah.
You gotta be able to understand.
Yeah. Let me narrow it down even further. Because you mentioned love, right? So, love. How does a man, what is the, let me see if I can put this. What goes on in a male psychology and psyche that convinces him that he's being loved? And what goes on in a female psyche that convinces her that she's being loved?
I would say for the male, affection.
Affection, yeah, affection, but that's just another
Physical.
euphemism for love. I want to see what are the dynamics, what are the psychodynamics that generates in his psyche the experience that, yeah, this one is love.
I've been told so.
Okay.
Men seem to like praise.
Praise?
Yeah, they like praise.
They like praise?
Because that validates them, it makes them feel worthwhile and valuable.
That's very close, that's very close, Tarsi.
Respect. Yeah.
That's why they shooting each other.
I was trying to find it.
Yeah, respect.
Respect. Now, when I work with my female clients, most women don't understand that the fastest way to run your man away is disrespect. And a lot of women do not even understand it. In fact, they're mystified. You know what I mean? Because the man was digging on her. You know what I mean? Until she crossed that line, right? And now he's gone. He don't call her back. He's gone. And she don't know what happened. You know? I thought we looked cool. I thought we looked tight. I thought this was the right one. But you ran him away and you didn't even know what you did. Because you didn't understand. And vice versa. Are you with me? Mm-hmm. Respect. Respect. When a man feels respected, if you can make your man feel respected, you got the world. You got it. You got it. A naked woman could walk by and he won't even notice it. He's strictly in. That's one of a man's greatest need. You said praise, right? But actually it's trust.
Trust.
You need to feel trusted. Are you with me? It's a need. That's how you feel loved. You see? That's how you feel loved. You know, not if you give him a bouquet of roses. You don't feel shit. You know what I mean?
That's the other
Right? Right, that's the other way,
That's the
right?
other way.
All right. So, and there's more and more and more, but again, we could be here for days, you understand? But I just wanted to give you some deeper understanding of what I mean when I say that at the emotional level, that man is getting his experience of being respected and being trusted. You see? That moves him deeper into the relationship up. What about the female? What do y'all need? You don't know what the men need. No, I'm on your kids. Go ahead.
Security.
Yeah. Definitely. Security and safety.
Yeah.
Right. Security, safety, right? Refuge.
Right.
You see, refuge. She needs to know you got it. You know what I mean? She needs to know that your chest is available for her to lay her head on. You wrap your arm around her. See my point? You got it. That's a need. And when she's having that experience that you got, see? For those of you who know a little bit more, you have to become her Santa, but Bob. She needs refuge. Refuge in the arms. My man, he got me. True?
True.
Absolutely.
It's an emotional need. It's got to be fulfilled. And when that is fulfilled, she's able now to function as a wife. You see, she goes to the next level of her own female potentiality. She moves from being a mere woman to here. Right? A man, when he has that respect, he can become a husband. It's possible now. You see? He's feeling like it. You see? So it gets real deep. Now, these have many other nuances. I'm not going to go down through all of the nuances. You know, just some fundamental things to give you an understanding. You see? And a great insight. See? So if your relationship is unstable, there's still a lot of unnecessary argument and conflict going on, right? You have to understand what happened here. You see? Now, what happened, I might as well tell you the whole truth. When these are not met, you're going to have a lot of anger. Now, if your other is angry all the damn time, fighting over almost nothing, the smallest little shit, you know what I mean? Getting way angrier than they need to get, way angrier than the situation warrants, is because that emotional business ain't being handled.
True.
True. And one of the definitions of a husband is a man who knows how to take care of that. That's what it means to be a husband. The word husband, it comes from an old German word. It was a word used to describe a gardener, a horticulturist, someone that knew how to grow beautiful plants and juicy fruit. He had a skill set. Are you with me? He knew how to husband a woman. And if your woman is angry all the damn time, hair falling out of her head, don't wear makeup no more, no negligee, no romantics, you probably don't know what you're doing. You didn't know about this. Right? A lot more can be said here. And vice versa. See? Wife knows how to do this for me. That's what gets you on trips around the world. That's what gets you fidelity. That's what makes all other women look like men to you.
Right.
That's how you get faithfulness. right? That's how you keep him from cheating on you, because you giving him what he needs, not just sex. If all you're doing is screwing a man, your chance of keeping that man diminishes, because why? You're going to get old. How long can you screw? You understand what I'm saying? And there's always, you have to understand, you know what I mean? You have to understand this thing. You can't hold a man with just sex. It's not possible. This one. But if your marital ideology is such, well, I don't have to respect this man, or if your marital ideology is, I don't have to really be affectionate and loving toward my wife and etc., then it drops out. I don't know what my time, we're going to do 4 o'clock today. I don't know what time we're going to break. But there's a whole series of sutras in Buddhism where the Buddha specified very clearly how a man should spiritually minister to his wife. You see, very famous sutras. And we won't have time to go into all of that. Y'all all right?
Yeah.
Y'all ain't scared, is you, Paul? We're just getting started here. This is the 20-year update. So I got to throw in some extra stuff here. The next level in this hierarchy of relationship, where you're getting more married. You see, getting closer to that melting into one another. You're getting softer. This would be the psychological level. The psychological level. So that here at this level, all of these remain. Remember, this is integral. You know what I mean? You don't lose anything, right?
Right.
You're just gaining a little bit more depth now. Are you with me? So there's no loss here. You know what I mean? But at the psychological level now, you see, at this level of the relationship, you're beginning to understand the other person. This is deep. You understand them now. You see. You understand one another. There's no longer a mystery. Why she do this? Why he do that? I can't figure out for the life of me what's wrong with this guy. You know what I mean? All that mystification disappears. You understand. You understand. You see? You understand. And that understanding becomes the gateway to love. You see? Because you cannot love greater than your degree of understanding of the other. I'll put it very bluntly. If you don't understand a person, you can't really love them. You can tolerate it. You know what I'm saying? You can have deep conflict. You can work out a political thing. Are you with me? Right? You have a bill of rights in the relationship. Right? But there's no love. Right? You see, understanding is the foundation and a prerequisite for love. Are you with me? When you understand the person, that automatically begins to create a kind of psychological comfort. You're psychologically comfortable. You're not walking on pins and needles when you come into the house. You're not taking the other behavior so personally anymore, because you understand that. You psychologically understand the person. You see, you have a kind of psychoanalytic point of view. You understand the historical origin of that behavior. You see my point? You've talked to one another. You've done some real communication, right? You see? I know your story, right? Your real story, not the one you make up to tell the other person for the sake of maintaining your image in their eyes. Are you with me? The real story, the real history, you see? I know that you were raped when you were 6 years old, and I know your dad was an alcoholic, and I know you got bullied in school. I know you. I understand you. So, you understand what I'm saying? I know that you got criticized a lot. You had an overcritical parent, and they criticized you. And I know that it's hard for you to take criticism, you see? So I find other ways to say the same things, you know?
Because you understand.
Because I understand.
And I wanted to make a comment about the understanding, that the understanding, it really clears the way and it takes away the judgment. So you're not judging the other person now, because now that's why they acting the way they act.
That's absolutely right.
And it's
No more
easier to
judgment. No
interact with them now.
That's right. So the relationship become non-judgmental. That lifts the relationship to a whole nother level. You see, right?
A little bit more freedom.
And the complaining drops out. You're no longer complaining for them being the way they are. So you understand? They can't be any other way. Are you with me? It makes sense. The relationship becomes intelligible for the first time. True? There is acceptance. You accept them. Their imperfections, shortcoming, and fault, because you understand the historical and the psychological and the biographical origin of those imperfections, shortcomings, and faults. You understand, you see, and you accept them, you know, right? Your grandfather threw you up in the air when you were a little girl, and now you're afraid of heights. So I ain't trying to make you go up in no damn elevator. You know what I mean? And get mad. You didn't take the damn elevator. You don't want to fly on the plane, make me sick. But I understand, you know, you're afraid. That's okay. I accept that. See? I ain't trying to change you. You see? You become capable of loving him and her just the way you are.
That's how you do it.
I should charge you too. But that's right, that's how you do it. But you see, that's at a higher level. First, if these are done, then you get here. If this not done, you can't get here.
You can't get nowhere.
Right, because if I don't feel like, if I don't trust you as a man, I can't, you can't even talk, we ain't even gonna have no kind of deep conversation like this. I'm not gonna tell you that when I was a little boy, I got raped by an uncle who got out of prison.
Right.
Are you with me? That ain't forthcoming. Are you with me? I'll tell a therapist, you follow, but I ain't gonna tell you. Right? Fear of rejection is still there. You know, all kinds of things. So you have to understand, this is developmental. It's an unfolding process, you know? These pieces got to be in place to get to the next piece. So this understanding now, psychologically you understand the person. You can see past their image, their persona. You're no longer in relationship with their persona, their personality is no longer a problem. This is deep shit. Because you're in a relationship with the other person's personality. That's not another person. The other person, that which is behind that person. You got to get to know that. Right? True?
True.
But if you're trying to relate to a person strictly below their personality, this is just personality conflict, ego conflict. You see, nothing happens here. You see, it becomes a battle for who is right. And you can stay locked at that level of the battle, or you can enter into a real relationship, get past that persona. It's just a persona. It's a product of their socialization, how they were parented. You see the television shows they watched. You see the high school gym teacher, the English teacher. It is a product of the village. It is Frankensteinian. It's not even original. It's wrong to even call it their personality. They didn't even make it. Are you with me? It's leftover from surviving. You see? Get past that. Yes, beloved.
There's one thing that you said to me some time ago that I found really, really profound, and I still use it. And you said that you can either be right or you can be in a relationship.
That's right.
And I really thought about that, and that's really deep.
That's very deep.
You know, that cuts a lot away.
Cuts a lot of stuff away. You see, because when you make that choice to be in relationship, what has happened here, you have started the non-judgment development. There's no more complaining. There's acceptance. And acceptance is the key. You see, acceptance is what gives us the ability to adapt to our situation, circumstances. People are also a part of our environment, you see? And we all know from our high school science that a species that cannot adapt to its environment is perished, right? So a husband that cannot adapt to the reality of who he's married to and vice versa, that relationship falls apart, right? But you can't adapt without first accepting. You see, you must accept the truth, and then you can adapt. You see, the weather out there is 10 degrees or whatever. I must accept the fact that it's 10 degrees, not 100. Then I can put on some clothes and go out. I can adapt to the weather, but if I'm non-acceptance of the reality that it's 10 degrees outside, right? I won't adapt. You see? I'll try to go out there and imagine that it's 100 degrees and die. Right?
Yeah.
Kill my damn self. So that principle applies to all of your environment. You see? Everything that is outside this skin, that's your environment, human and otherwise. And you better learn how to adapt, which means you got to accept. So that's a very deep thing. It was deep when it was told to me, and I'm glad to see that it still retains its kind of ability to snap, you see? Especially for men, because we have this male ego, this kind of pathological need to be right, see, to reinforce the image that we created of ourselves, or rather, were created for us by society, right? So forth and so on. So you're right out my G. There's so much more we can go into with that. Like I said already, each one of these is a all-day thing. We could not exhaust it. It's really that utterly deep. Because basically, you're learning how to get along with one person. Now, how you gonna get along with all other sentient beings? You can't even get along with one person. Who are you kidding? You see? And if you can't get along with your husband, your wife, then your children becomes a candidate for the same shit. Your brothers and sisters, you know what I mean? So marriage has always been understood to be the key to having harmonious family relationships. It starts with the man and the woman who have created the family. Because children are going to be a product of where you're at, right? If you're just here, you're going to get some rotten-ass kids. You understand what I'm saying? Because how can you give your kids what you don't have? You won't be able to give them those skill set at these high levels because you don't have any. Are you with me? They'll know how to shop and how to, and how to reproduce. Okay? All right, let's keep moving here. Remember, I have not even come close to exhausting this. But you get an idea?
Yep.
And when you're able to really fulfill all the sadhana at these levels, this is where you become friends. Now you're friends. Now you can be friends for the first time. You know, down here you're always fighting each other. You know what I mean? Give me what I need, but I give you what you need. Better give me what I need. Here, there's still some conflict, still some fighting, still a little argument going on. Here, you friends for the first time. Let me just put the dollars back. Okay. So far, so good?
Yes, sir.
I have a question.
Yes.
We were talking about men want respect and men want trust. Is a male concept of respect is what you do what he says. And then for trust has a degree of surrender.
Yes.
So if they just want the woman to do what they say do, that's a surrender to them. But what if the woman don't feel like you know what I'm talking about? That's a source of conflict.
Yeah. It is all
They
a
move
very
from
big
there
source.
sometimes.
It is a very big source of conflict. Now, what I was, when I introduced that concept, it was based on you having at least reached this level to really appreciate it, and to practice that, you know. And you're absolutely right. To have, as we would call it, faith in him, trust him, you see. Yes, he may be wrong, you know, because, and he may fail, but he wants to know that I got your support.
Okay. All right.
Are you just only gonna support me when you know for damn sure that I'm gonna make $1 million? That don't count in my mind.
Right.
You understand? I need somebody gonna support me when I'm opening up the business from scratch. That's with me, trust me, have faith in me, shraddha. Are you with me?
Yes,
Right? I'm not dealing with a broker here who wants to invest in me based on my performance last year. You want to see my P&L statement, right? My profit and loss. That's how we feel supported. Right?
That helped me
That'll help?
understand that, yeah.
Yeah. And this right or relationship applies to women too.
Right, exactly.
You see, it applies to both people in the relationship. So you can be right and tell them, man, you know, this ain't such a good idea, you're right. But now this man gonna go look for somebody that feels that he can make it. He done this.
Yeah.
You don't have no faith, no trust. See, he's gonna go somewhere else. Right? But that's what he's looking for. Right? Trust. You see? Trust. You see? And if you have a kind of relationship with him, that's really based on that, when you say those things to him, he will trust that you're right. Are you with me? It depends where you at, how far you done got here, you know? He may come to you and say, baby, what do you think? You know what I mean? And you look and say, I don't think that's a good idea. He'll go with that. See, if he trusts you. If he don't trust you, he ain't going with that either. True? True? It's like that. It's like that. You see? But that's a very good question. That's a very good question. That's more of that subtlety.
It's more tangible.
More tangible. You could feel that. You know what I mean? And we can sense that in our interactions, our operating. We know what the person is asking for. You see? Cooperation, support. You see? And that's so important. I'm just trying to see what the summary word I want to use for this next level. I suppose we can call it a religious. And I'm only meaning religious in the pure sense of the word, is that there's a kind of union occurring, you know, a uniting is occurring, really getting to come together again. The word really has the same connotation as a kind of yoga. You become, you reach that religious level. Now that's very interesting, because once you have seen past the person persona, what you see in that other person is their divinity. See, what exists on the other side of his or her persona is their divinity. You get a glimpse. You see the goddess. You see God in the female form, and you see God in the male form. That's called God and goddess. You see the goddess in that woman. You see my point? You see the God in that man now. You see, and that becomes a framework of how you interact, right? You see, you're no longer interacting with the personality. You see something deeper, and you start interacting with that. Are you with me? And so you start, and it's a beginning. You start a practice, a process now begins where you're developing, you begin to develop the ability to interact with the other on the basis of their inherent divinity. You see? Very respectful. Not of personality, of that which is beyond their personality. You with me? And it is what makes you moral in the relationship. You see? Ethical. You see? Religious. You see? You start having all of that. You see? Honoring thy husband, honoring thy wife. You see my point? All of that begins to grow and become kinetic in the relationship. You see the divine. You see? And you start helping to cultivate that divine. That's that helping, you see? Because at some level, you see, that's what we're together for, right? Is to help one another cultivate and make kinetic our inner divinity. Manifest in our life. You see? If you would treat me like a goddess, you know what I mean? You see? What an ancient Sumeria, I think. Nana, priestess, goddess, you know. You see? Taught women how to treat their husband like gods. And of course, there were men's schools that taught men to treat their wives like God. You see? It's the goddess-God relationship. Your relationship becomes more like a relationship between a God and a goddess. Now, you see what happens is that I need to really go add the next one too to make this clear. The next level beyond here is the spiritual, right? Because there's a distinction. Here you practice and you're on your way. This all is practice. First you got to see it there, then you start practicing. You see, you got to start readapting in the relationship. You see, so you're practicing. You will forget. Oh, that's the goddess. You know, it's not somebody, it's the goddess. You'll forget, and then, you know, but it's that kind of process, you know. It's a sadhana. But fundamentally, your whole view of one another shifts. You know what I mean? The relationship starts taking on some of the earlier signs of being sacred. Not sacred yet. You see? It's like It's like the mystic said, you come to a well and you can see the water down there, but seeing the water is not having the water in your mouth. You see the water. You follow me? Now you got to get that water, right? But you see it. You follow me? You get a glimpse. You have a satori, a zindu, a glimpse of the reality of the other person. The other person really got a glimpse. You see? It'll go away, you see. But you're no longer deluded, deceived. Now you know. It's the religious level, you see. And you are religiously committed to one another. Are you with me? It's a religious commitment, religiously. You see? Yeah, vow. You see? Definitely vow, right? Definitely able to do that. You see? To honor all of those vows, religiously. You see? Religiously. You don't miss that. Right. You know, like you go to church every Sunday or whatever, religiously, you know, you get my point, you do something religiously, right? It's with great reverence, right? Worshipful, right? No resistance, yeah? That kind of thing. Now, language fails here, but you all are following me intuitively. You getting a sense of what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You see, there's sincerity.
Seriousness.
Seriousness, but even more than seriousness, because you could be serious about bullshit, right? But sincerity captures it there.
Right.
Sincerity, religiously. See, because you can't be religious and not sincere. You know, sincerity is the essence of what it means to be religious. It's sincerity, you see. You can just go through the rituals and ceremonies, you know all of that, but that don't make you religious. You're just going through rituals and ceremonies, right? You can recite the Quran, the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, the Vedas, and so forth and so on, but it's insincere, it's just rhetorical. You're just saying shit. Are you with me? Mimicry, right? But not sincere. Sincere means you have your total effort in this thing. Nothing is held back, right?
No fake shit.
Nothing fake. Sincere. You're sincere in the relationship. For real. No fooling, no kidding. You see? There's love involved here because you have understood the person more and you love the person more now. You see? And sometimes it takes 20 years to get here. You see? This is a process. It's a removal of layers of ignorance and wrong understanding. Tons of it, you know. But it is possible. It is part of all of our potential and possibility. Spiritual, the next level, where you have really now been able to manifest the divinity. Are you with me? The man has been able to get into and make kinetic and have been able to incarnate and manifest his inherent divinity. The woman has been able to do the same thing, right? To contact, cultivate, and manifest her divinity. He has become a God man, and she has become a God woman, right? They've achieved that, right? Once that has happened, you see? Now, Heather's Gums. Oh, I left the word out. Now, I left some things out of this scale. But I'm just trying to give you a map, an overview. Heros Gamos, right? So that now, when they have sex, now this is where the Tantra comes. In Tantra Yoga, you will meditate first, not foreplay. You will meditate. And the yogi or the yogin will go deep and come into touch with and make manifest in their bodies the very divine itself. Then they will have sex. Very different. Very different. You see? Very different from us, right? You don't meditate and get in touch with your entity and make it fully manifest in your body and then have sex. So everything they do is permeated. You know what I mean? When they eat, they're eating like a god and a goddess. You'll see that in Zen. You see Zen is so pretty how they eat, how they even drink the tea. It's pretty, it's sacred. Right? It's a simple thing as a cup of tea. It's preparation. It's art. It's beautiful. Because God is beautiful. See, that's one of the signs that the divinity has been made kinetic. It's beautiful. Right? The way they walk. It's beautiful. The way that couple who are heterogamous hold hands is pretty. It's beautiful. Something divine about it. Are you with me? That is, then the marriage has become a sacred marriage. That has happened. Now it's sacred. So, these are the developmental stages, if you will, or phases, or the evolution, the unfoldment of our possibilities, you see, our potential, you see, and it depends on those who have come into a relationship where they will take that relationship. And it's not easy. Let me say that over and over again. This is not an easy process here. This takes everything of a man and a woman. You see, these higher levels of relationship cannot be accessed with as long as your ego is intact. You see, it is an ego transcendent process. You see, but as long as your ego is intact, fully operating, no possibility to move deeper into any kind of relationship at all. So I think we should take a break now. Is that about right? Okay. So let's have some water and some snacks and some music to calm you back down, and then we're going to go in one more time. All right.
Question.
Yes, sir. You want to save it for the camera? For the
no.
Yeah, let's save it. Let's save it.
Okay.
Yeah, so everybody can benefit. All right. All right, let's take a break, and what time should we come back?
1:49.
No, give more time than that. It's got to be the water.
2:15.
Yeah, so about 2:15. All right, we come back at 2:15.